about your parents? What any kind of stories and where they might have grown up, and what can you tell me that you remember?
Not really. The best I can remember about them, they was good parents. They taught us the right things. And that's about it.
What so they lived in Roane County for most of their lives.
Most of their life.
Right around where we have the reunion. Is that kind of where? Is that general area?
No, that was
That's the Galleons. That's where they.
my grandpa's daddy's, his place.
Oh, okay.
It's where Daddy grew up. And we lived over on 58 for a good while. Went to Fairview School. Curtis went to Kingston.
Did you say it was your granddad that owned that property?
Yeah, where we have the reunion.
Yeah. What
He owned
was
all
his full name?
Thomas something. I couldn't tell you the other.
Yeah. Well, tell me about school. What do you remember about that?
When I first started,
Yeah.
well, we didn't have cafeterias or anything like that. Now, when I
Let me have you start again. You got a bug. There you go. Now I'll start you again. Sorry.
when I first started the Fairview School, they started the first cafeteria there, and it was nothing like they have now. If instead of money to pay for what you eat, you bought a can of green beans or anything canned, that would pay for your lunch for a week, which I didn't like the cafeteria. I wouldn't eat. The first time that I ate in the cafeteria, they had rice. I can't cut rice.
You don't eat it today.
So I didn't eat no more. Well, and I like it sometimes, but I didn't eat it in the cafeteria anymore.
Well, did you have a recess? You get out an hour for
Oh
lunch?
yeah, we had.
What'd you do during that time?
I mostly played on the swings, or they had different things to play. So I like to swing.
Well, let me ask you about your sisters. What do you remember about your sisters growing up? Tell me about Addie and LaFawn and Merle. What do you remember most about them? Any funny stories or anything you can tell me?
Well, we done a lot of fighting. Not too much. One story that was really not about them, but my mother raised chickens, and of course she bought groceries with eggs. And before Easter, Daddy said, let's play a little trick on Mother. He said, let's hide the eggs. So we'd go and gather up the eggs, and he found a hollow stump, and we'd put the eggs in there and cover it up with leaves. And she kept wondering what was going with her eggs. Something was getting her eggs. And on Easter morning, me and Daddy went and got the eggs. She's about to get us.
About to catch you. Well, what did she do when she found out?
No, she finally just laughed.
Did At the 60th cycle, huh?
We're only gonna
Okay. I don't know what they're gonna do.
hopefully not go back there.
I think they've got to. Let's hang on 1 second, Mary. You worked in Athens. How many years did you work down there?
Probably around at least 40.
40 years? Tell me how you got started doing that.
I fixed tires 45 years. And I just, really when I got out of boot school, I just started working in Athens, and I liked it. Then I come back Sweetwater and worked some at the beauty school as an instructor, part-time. And then that was when Mona was little. And then I went back to Athens and stayed there till several years ago. I don't know when I retired.
Speaking of Mona, tell me something about her. What do you remember about her growing up?
She's mean as thing. She did.
You get you another cable?
Alright. Maybe I got a shortened cable, you're right. Okay, so long.
Okay, well tell me about some of this meanness. What sticks out in your mind that you could tell us?
Oh, well, for one thing, she was, when Debbie come along, she was jealous of Debbie. And Debbie was sitting in the floor when she started just setting up, and Tootie come by and kicked her. I said, Mona, I said, when Debbie gets a little bigger, I said, she's going to whip you for doing her like that. And they did. They had some big ones. And Debbie got big enough to hold her own with her.
Paid back a little bit.
Yeah, she got paid back.
Well, where'd you meet Alan? How'd you guys meet? Get to know each other?
Well, he was in the Navy, and I was working at McCosh's restaurant then, and his daddy told me, he said, now Mary, he said, my son's coming home, and he said, I want you to leave him alone. And sure enough, he come home pretty soon. And he asked me for a date, and we started dating. And then got married, and his daddy never mentioned that again.
Didn't try to talk you out of it after that?
No.
So he served in the military in World War II? Did he serve? What years did he serve? Did he go in like Papa did? And
No, he never was in.
Was it before?
He was in the Navy, and he never was really into any battles or anything. He was in the Navy twice. He got out, and then he decided he wanted to go back and went back. I guess he's in there for a year. I think it was 2 years when he joined. Of course, he wasn't out of school when he joined the first time. I think he was about 16. And then he come back and finished high school, and then he joined again.
And you guys moved into Sweetwater. When did you move in? When did you move there?
You mean family?
Yeah.
Let's see, we moved there when I was about 11 years old. So
That house that is right off the Sweetwater exit there, where my great grandfather was for a while. Was that his house? Was it the one, you know, the 2-story there out on Oakland Road? I used to keep him there. Do you know what I'm talking about? I remember that one.
No, on Oakland Road.
Or maybe it's not Oakland. That's one of the Sweetwater exits. It's not too far from the interstate now. Where the I guess where the Dinner Bell restaurant is there. Isn't that where he used to stay?
Who's that?
Your dad.
I don't remember.
Remember? Okay. I've always wondered about that. Well, tell me anything about your experience growing up. What kind of music do you listen to when you're growing up?
Well, we really didn't listen. Daddy played the banjo, and almost every weekend, like Saturday night, other musicians would come to our house, and they'd make music. Sometimes till midnight, I'd say. But that was for anybody around had radios. And then we had a neighbor that they got a radio. We'd go up and listen to the radio. And it's good for people then. Many people had radios.
Do you remember events like any kind of national events going on? Like, I'd say, take for instance, some of Dan's family. They were talking about how they first heard of Pearl Harbor. Do you remember that day?
Oh, I remember Pearl Harbor. Yeah, when it
I
was
stepped on you. Start that again.
Let's see, I was probably maybe 10 years old then when they bombed Pearl Harbor. I remember well. Of course, might not understood all of it, but I remember them telling that Pearl Harbor had been bombed.
Who would have told you that? Who told you?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't. I just remember it.
You did. Oh. Was it on
Probably
the radio?
on the radio.
Okay. Was that a big shock to you at that time?
Oh yeah. It was scary.
I bet. Is that? Okay, that's there.
See you ready to start.
All that stuff. Curtis knows I was too little to
Oh, okay. How much take?
7 minutes.
Oh, you start another one?
Mm.
Oh. Oh, you got 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't too much fun of being the youngest one of 6. I had it pretty rough sometimes. Courtesy would take up for me though.
Well, what would they do to you? You just get left out of things?
Just aggravate me. Anything.
Well, what do you remember about holidays back then? What, all the family get together?
Not all that much. Now, about the biggest thing when I was, about the time I started to school, or maybe before, was like the 4th of July. We'd get to go, if there wasn't work that had to be done on the farm, Daddy would take us to, I think it's Harmon, to the fire. And that was a big thing then. But they just wasn't a whole lot to do. And back then you had the work had to be done before you went anywhere like that.
Yeah. Well, where'd you go to church back then?
Well, I couldn't tell you because I don't remember even the name of the church. I remember going, but I don't remember.
Was it in Sweetwater?
Oh no, this was back in Roane County,
Oh, okay.
Down from Kingston.
I think it's the air conditioner.
Oh, it isn't.
Then we went to Fairview Church a lot. You probably remember where Johnsons live.
Yeah.
The Fairview Church then. We used to go to there to church, Sunday school.
Did we, being like the Pearl Harbor, did you remember President Kennedy getting shot, things like that? The day that
Oh
happened?
yeah,
Tell me about that.
that happened. Mona was, I don't know just how old she was, but she's old enough that she realized that what had happened, and she had to tell her daddy. She said, "Oh, our president got shot," she said, and she worried about that, about President Kennedy getting killed. She was very small.
How old was she at that time?
I don't really know. She probably hadn't even. I don't know whether she'd started school or not.
Well, let me see if I got anything else to ask you.
I can tell you. Curtis may get me for telling this, but when Mother and Daddy had to go anywhere, like when they took the tobacco off to sell, they'd leave Curtis there and tell him to, to take care of us, girls. And I remember one time that we'd started to eat that evening meal, and Curtis, he'd tell things like, start talking about dead chickens and all this. And LaFawn, she couldn't take it. She'd have to go outside. It'd make her sick. And that didn't bother me. Now, he would do that to try to make us all sick. was mean.
Hang on one second. Let's get you no mic.
Yeah. When Mother and Daddy would go to sell the tobacco, I forget where they had to go, but they couldn't get. They had to go and stay all night, and they'd leave Curtis there in charge of take care of us girls. And we sat down to eat, and he'd start telling all this stuff about seeing dead chickens, finding them, and all this stuff, try to make us sick. And LaFawn she'd have to leave the table and go outside. He was always doing something like that to try to get the best of us girls.
Now, name for me all the sisters and well, of course, Papa.
Well, of course, Curtis was the oldest. And then Eileen, she was, I think, 2 years younger than Curtis. And then Opal, and LaFawn, and Merle, and me. Most people thought me and teachers at school and all thought me and Merle was twins. She had light hair and almost blonde when she was little, and mine was black. But I reckon because their names was Merle and Mary, the teachers would get us mixed up. I couldn't see that, but
Any stories about Opal, LaFawn that you can think of? Any one of them?
not really.
I think we got it.